for the World Cup. Awkward as well, I believe. Or that hasn't been released yet, but I think we can safely assume, just like Happy Cool on the Iceland team. But Awkward, we're rooting for you. DCOD and Lynx definitely going on to the Overwatch World Cup with their respective teams. Tea Party on the other side doesn't have a representative, I believe, but that doesn't mean you can't win at this map and potentially the match in a reverse sweep. I think the big thing they got to do is they got to keep their big man up. The Ace of Spades needs to stay alive for longer than the first 5 seconds of these fights, because he's been getting bullied by Triumph in general, who've been able to take advantage of the mispositionings of Tea Party a little bit better than they have against other teams all season.
Tea Party does now have Bossman X in for that off-tank role, so looking for a little bit of that early season magic, as it is going to be some goats for Tea Party. And oh no, is this really the death knell? It's not even 2-2-2 yet, and maybe the bell has tolled.
There it is. We got the strategic shuffle coming in from DCOD.
Look at that.
That's looking good. Man, that shimmy, man, can be seen through generations.
Twisting with the best of them.
Triumph now have the Primal Rage. Fozman already taken down. Tea Party will have to wait for their diva to come back. I'm still thinking about dance parties, right? Like, dancing is fun, guys. That's the type of dance you can do by yourself in front of the mirror.
Exactly. You could, just study the dances in preparation for BlizzCon. Going to have some good musical acts there.
Yeah, you can Spartan kick someone and then do the dance over them, just like you see in game, right?
Yeah, exactly. Highly recommended.
Spartan kicking. Be careful with that at home. Triumph now. DCOD has that Primal Rage. Is going to go ahead and use it. Anton might get bullied away here. As Tea Party, look at their health bars. So low. 5 of the members potentially below half HP. Triumph, though, losing a little bit themselves. The shot is low. He's going to be able to survive. And another great dragon coming in from Samito is going to stall out Tea Party just a little while longer.
And this is very similar to the playbook that Team Envy ran just last match. You send your Winston to go in the back. He has Primal. You're not going to have to worry about him going down and getting caught in no man's land. And all the meantime, your backline peppering in damage, your Hanzo, your long distance DPS peppering in that damage, catching anybody who's getting any funny ideas about flanking around to the objective. And Tea Party stymied as of right now. 3 pushes and nothing to show for it. However, they are coming up on their rally. Ace of Spades going to be ready with that Earth Shatter.
The Biotic Grenade from Awkward was eaten. That's a big deal for Tea Party, as that would have stopped their push in its tracks. Fozman, though, going to potentially lose his neck. That he does. He's going to be unable to develop that self-destruct until next time. This time around, the Biotic Grenade not eaten by a Tea Party. Colors green, purple, but right now Tea Party doing a good job keeping everyone alive. Ace of Spades has that shatter, and all you need sometimes is one good shatter, and then you can take over the point. Tea Party haven't been able to grab one and take, and Triumph unable to keep that presence on the objective, but it's hard to keep presence on the objective of your Tea Party if there's dragons ripping through your soul and sending you back to spawns.
The coffee drinkers have showed up. No tea to be had today, much less a party. Really unfortunate that Ace of Spades not able to use that Earth Shatter because it's basically free. You get rid of that dinky Winston bubble and the world is yours. But Tea Party taking a long time coming to the objective, and all the while Triumph just waiting for that Galactic Dragons combo. And also really good news to good patience from Lynx to wait until Fossman was out of his mech before lobbing that ultimate.
The Biotic Grenade going to hit 2 members of Tea Party. Triumph really loves painting with purple, and Tea Party already so low. Fozman forced to use that self-destruct, potentially in a situation he didn't want to use it in. Self-destruct's going both ways. Both self-destructs not finding anything. The Nano does go on to the Winston, who is coming back to get heals anyway. Nice hop from DCOD means he's going to avoid the Earth Shatter. He's going to use the Primal Rage as well. Blob is going to get the colorless kill, though. So this is still potentially a winning fight for Tea Party. They've got the rally. Ace of Spades is going to be on the wrecking ball, so he's going to be back in at no time. But as of right now, Triumph doing all that they can to stop Tea Party here on point A in Hollywood, making this short. Triumph using that Dragon Strike, unable to find the same amount of value sending us down on the rest of the game. This is not the greatest time to have your worst Dragon Strike of the series so far. And another really bad ultimate now coming in from Triumph. Graviton Surge absolutely hitting nothing other than some air. Triumph now going to be losing out point A, but 2 minutes and 28 seconds on the clock for Tea Party is not that much for Streets.
No, Lynx really showing Oxygen who's boss there. Not sure if Triumph's going to keep on with this Zarya. If they are, they're definitely going to be regretting that move. And yes, indeed, it looks like they are going to be sticking with the Reinhardt Zarya. I see they're now picking up the Sombra. Tea Party actually has been gifted quite an opportunity here. They're coming up on Sound Barrier, so they're going to look good for the late fight. And not only that, they're going to have Bomb and Grab, tools that Triumph do not have, not to mention the fact that they do not have a Sound Barrier to react when Amadian does let that ultimate fly.
Tea Party going on that one last ride on that Ghost. And so Tea Party going to go ahead and use the Graviton Surge and the Sound Barrier. It seems to be working out for them right now as they're going to continue on here in Street Space, getting 4 picks. After that Graviton Surge coming in for Lynx, you can almost feel that Triumph will probably give up this point because they're having a little bit of a hard time keeping it together like they did such a good job of in the first 2 maps. Some very questionable ultimates now coming in from Triumph.
Yeah, Lynx, though, is close to having a redemption chance with his next Grav, and Samito will be able to combo with that. Tea Party, having just used that Sound Barrier to give themselves an opportunity to engage comfortably, will not have really that way to respond. But Triumph do need to strike quickly.
The big Dragon Strike. No one can get onto the payload. Many of the members of Tea Party are separated, but there's going to be trades going both ways. 5v5 now for Triumph and Tea Party. Tea Party really want to maintain their presence on this payload, and Ace of Spades is definitely going to help out with that. This Goat's composition showing that it's not ready to die just yet against Triumph, as they're going to capture the second point. 2 minutes and 20 seconds up. They made up a ton of time there on Streets.
Yeah. Tea Party now running with that momentum will now have Transcendence for the Grav. That, of course, is given Icy not catching the blub blub blob in this EMP, which is not looking very likely as he has to give up quite a bit of space to avoid getting detected. Lynx, though, would really like for this EMP to come out first for that Zenyatta to go down before he drops Grav, but this is just a whole lot of looking at each other.
I mean, and that's going to be fine for Triumph. They're on the defensive side. The more they look, Tea Party looks, the less time that there's going to be on the clock. And Triumph, in the meantime, developing an ultimate advantage. All of this is Lynx finally going to pull the trigger. Interesting spot for a grab one more time. The EMP honestly probably wasn't necessary either in that situation. It's nice for them to have. It makes it so they definitely win that fight. But Triumph with that grab, even though the positioning of it could have been a little better, we're already on their way of winning that fight. The EMP was just going to win more type of area.
Exactly. Tea Party were the ones who are really feeling the pressure of the time bank right now because, again, like you said, Boop, they're the attackers. Triumph are happy to just let them stand there and take no action. But now they have to contend with this Earth Shatter, but Nana will be available for Tea Party. Graviton Surge as well. So in the head-to-head with Decod versus Ace of Spades, Ace is going to have an advantage here.
Icy also very low and gets taken down. Triumph Sombra look, not my favorite so far. I'd like to see them on what they were running a little bit more on the Ilios. I know it's not as good here, but I think these players could run that successfully. Beautiful Biotic Grenade down coming in from Tea Party. 3 members are colored purple, but at least they have the Overshield and the armor coming in from Sammy. To Graviton Surge now, self-destruct, doesn't find anything. Earth Shatter doing the same, a whole lot of nothing going with those ultimates. Triumph now used all of their ultimates. Tea Party now losing members though. Ace of Spades has Earth Shatter. If he wants to try to come back into this fight, he could use it, but it's going to be hard because he's currently hacked. He's still trying to aggress upon Triumph Gaming, who are pretty good on terms of how Ace of Spades can go ahead and use that Earth Shatter. 2 members are down. That 180 Shatter doing a little bit of work, but Triumph on the defensive side will have spawn advantage. And even though Tea Party does find some picks, the spawns are going to be a little too strong for Triumph. And I think Ace of Spades staying alive there might have been more of a curse than a blessing because it made it so they're unable to fully reset, but they're actually coming back with 2 more kills. Tea Party could totally take advantage of this. Amadian now using that Graviton Surge, getting a 3rd kill onto Triumph. Decod is now down. Chopped is slept. And Tea Party comes right back and take the 3rd point of Hollywood in overtime. Shouldn't have written them off just yet, even though they did take some casualties and even though there were some defensive spawns. Tea Party knew their window of opportunity and they took it.
A major misstep by Triumph was not finishing up Fossman X's Baby Diva. Right there, you saw Awkward was dueling him for a while, but decided to turn his attention to finishing off the couple last members of Tea Party who started to back off, and it actually gave Fossman X the chance to get back into mech. He was back into mech, and then poor Awkward turns around expecting to find a dead Baby Diva, only to find a full health Diva in her mech standing on the cart, and at that time it was too late for Triumph to turn back around to react to what T was bringing to the party. And so a little bit of a bungled opportunity for Triumph, but not bad at all for Tea Party again, with kind of just running with what was gifted them.
I think Triumph could have definitely held Tea Party in that situation, especially after Ace of Spades fell. And the reason why it could have been more of a curse than a blessing is because Ace of Spades lived so long there.
He decided to charge.
Right? He decided to get in there, even though he was hacked. He wanted to get that shatter off, and then eventually the time got to a point where they had to commit regardless. Tea Party very lucky that Triumph folded there at the very end when they had a little bit of an advantage, but those 2 kills coming in from Tea Party and kind of that soft re-engage from them ended up locking up the 3rd point of Hollywood. Now Triumph, if they finish with more than a minute, that's going to be a big deal for them. That means that Tea Party will not have an option to attack once more, and if they draw here, Triumph could potentially lock up, they will lock up the win, but it could mean that Tea Party spoils their 3rd seed, because remember, they have to win in a +2, so if they draw here, Tea Party win the next map, Triumph will be the 4th seed.
Exactly, and have to face Evie, and again, Antal trying to go for a backline group onto the Reinhardt, only spells doom for his team, gets taken down immediately, even though Triumph is not running a Brigida, they still cut that Lucio down. Now it is going to be an all-out 5v6, Triumph should be able to take this.
That's actually really bad for Triumph, losing the mech, losing the Lucio. I think they got a little too ahead of themselves. They're getting a little cocky, I think. Triumph needs to play this a little bit more straight like they were at the beginning of this game, because they're playing a little loose right now, and Tea Party taking advantage of that.
That was a major misstep by Tea Party for their Lucio to go down so early. Triumph, though, are going to double down, throw out the Dragon Strike, doesn't catch anything.
Peacock finds that pick up the blob. Triumph now, hopefully this Primal Rage is all that they need to try to take over this objective once more. Sammy Teo getting that pick up to Ace of Spades really opens up the point for the offense, but Bosnia is playing very well so far here for Tea Party here on the Hollywood. It's been a good sub so far. Now with the follow-up self-destruct kill, still looking good for Tea Party. Let's talk about that last engagement. Triumph, the Diva and the Winston getting super tunneled on the supports in the back line, and in the meantime, they get deleted.
Exactly. Anytime you go for a deep dive, sure, it may work out in your favor, but you also have to think about you might kill their backline very quickly. All right, but the option for your backline to be killed is also there. Triumph now with Ecod on the Reinhardt are going to have to suffer this lost fight with those swaps, but again, such a major unforced error by Tea Party, and Triumph just give up that advantage.
Triumph now have the Graviton Surge of their own. There isn't a Transcendence on the other side, so Lynx can kind of use this whenever he wants. The one thing that can't have it is cannot have this Graviton Surge. Triumph will have everything they need. They only need this ultimate. Once Tea Party drops down onto the low ground, they're going to fall. They're going to be very susceptible to what Lynx is bringing. They're going to have Sound Barrier, though, very shortly, so they are going to have a defensive option once the Graviton Surge comes through that window of opportunity to have it with no support ult in response to that Graviton Surge has been closed. Ace of Spades can potentially counter Shatter as well. He's already low. Discord Orb's already on him. They're going to go ahead and use the blue to someone else. Lynx finally using that Graviton Surge, and I like what they tried to do here, but the idea is going to be completed as Awkward takes down the Zarya, just in case he can save himself another Graviton Surge. That's not going to be there, but the Earth Shatter comes through. 3 members of Triumph are on the ground, but no kills just yet. Awkward with the Transcendence to keep everyone alive, but Fosca trying to bring this back with another kill with that self-destruct. Triumph now with only a minute remaining to capture this first point. Tea Party with their best defense so far today, really pushing Triumph to the limit here on Hollywood.
Good play by Tea Party there, launches the self-destruct. When you know the Rhine shield is broken, you can guarantee that kill if you place the bomb very well, and sometimes you only need that one kill. However, Tea Party lose too many members to hang on, and Triumph do capture point A in the nick of time, despite Tea Party's best efforts.
Triumph and Tea Party are going to be entering Streets phase. Tea Party is looking at a 3-minute time bank against Triumph right now. Tea Party was able to walk right through Streets phase earlier, so if Triumph want to keep up the pace, they got to try to do the same. Looking at the ultimates, it's going to be a little bit harder, I think, for Triumph to do what Tea Party was able to do last time around on their push. Far, though, the only one with an ultimate. Amadian, though, going to have that Graviton Surge very shortly, but there is going to be one on the other side as well.
Exactly. Triumph, though, even if Amadian does let that fly, will have Transcendence, but Decod quickly dismantling Tea Party's ideas of holding right here at the choke with a great shatter. Ace of Spades not going to have the opportunity to use his own ultimate as Triumph slowly lasering their way through.
I actually really like what Decod did there. The ally barrier wasn't quite ready for him, so he slowed his roll just a little bit, waited for the cooldown, and then went to attack. That's good communication coming in from Triumph. That seemed to be lacking a little bit through the rest of this map, but it seems to be coming back online now. But again, is it too little, too late for Triumph? As Tea Party seem to have figured out their game plan here and have been way more competitive here in Hollywood than any map that we've seen today in between these two teams. 2 dinks to start with Awkward. That's going to help out Triumph move forward a little bit more. Antal already taken though. Grab Concert is there. Rally is as well, but the picks coming in for Triumph. They take 3.
It was almost guaranteed that Triumph would take this fight if Tea Party didn't make the first move with their own grab and find an early pick, because Antal was still quite far away from the saving grace of a sound barrier. And now Triumph have EMP online and can get into that ultimate cycle of using EMP as a placeholder so that Lynx has the time to get to another grab. After EMP is used, grab used the next fight, then you have EMP again, and it's that feedback loop that's so going to be very difficult for Tea Party to break. They have to win in a sweep in order to force Triumph into that full reset.
Triumph looking a little bit better on the Sombra look than they have for the rest of Hollywood. As I say that, though, Caster Cursor is real. Icy goes down. Nice kill, though, coming in from Tea Party. That should stop this payload for a while longer. Grab Concert, they're going to start against Triumph, and they're going to invest in Transcendence as well. The Reinhardt starts into each other, and eventually Triumph will have Icy back. It's actually probably a losing fight for Tea Party at this point in time, as the EMP comes through. The Shatter does as well. So many people hacked, but the sound barrier did land. That is the saving grace for Tea Party right now, as Triumph did everything that they needed to do to try to win this. But now on the other side of things, Ace of Spades with a 3-man Shatter helping his team get 2 more kills against Triumph. And now Triumph are looking at 1 minute and 52 seconds in at the time bank. This is looking like if Triumph finish, it will be with under a minute. So Tea Party probably will get another opportunity to attack if Triumph finish the match.
Tea Party actually had a pretty ballsy move right there, deciding to take the fight outside of the choke, forced both the sound barrier and the trance out from Triumph, but then they were forced to use their own, and that's not what you want to happen. You want to back off when you still have the advantage, and now the advantage rests comfortably on the side of Triumph, who still has grab, not to mention Earth Shatter.
Lynx liking these solo grabs. We talked about that all the time. It's not about the numbers sometimes with these Graviton Surge, because if you solo grab somebody and are able to kill them, then you got yourself a 6v5, and that's worth an ultimate.
And not just that, but it was Amadien who's 15% away from grab, and now he has to start from 0 and rack that energy back up.
EMP's going to go through. Earthshatter is as well, but no one is going to fall victim to that. But Far does fall. Actually, the Earthshatter does kill the Brig, but it could have been even worse along with that EMFE. Ace of Spades, pretty low. Graviton is now coming in from Amadien. This has got to be their saving ultimate here. They do get a couple picks. This is really good for the defensive side. Self-destruct doesn't find anything. Decod gonna get stunned out. He's so very low. Will try and be able to come back and try to take this over once more. And another Earthshatter now coming in from Triumph. Awkward gonna take down Antal in the end. More kills now coming in from Triumph, but in the end you can't help but feel that Triumph are in a losing battle right now because they just don't have the advantage when it comes to the spots.
Exactly, and with Icy on the Sombra instead of the Diva, there's going to be no option for a zoning bomb. There's no second chance getting back into next. So Triumph, it's all or nothing now. Icy has to land the EMP of a lifetime.
He's going to go through. 4 members are hacked. The Transcendence is there just in time. The Pile Dragon in the backline. Awkward is going to fall. Tea Party on tap to win Hollywood right now as Samito falls as well. The sound barrier is not going to do much to help Triumph as Tea Party bring it back after getting C-rolled in the first half. Tea Party are able to be hyper-competitive on Hollywood. So competitive, in fact, that they outplay Triumph through, honestly, the majority of it and take them down. Tea Party win this map. Triumph still up 2-1. But it's got to make their dreams of that 3rd seed a little bit more nerve-wracking, because if this goes to Game 5, they will not get that 3rd seed.
Exactly. They got to close this out, and they got to close it out fast. And Tea Party frustrating them at every turn. It all started with a great defense on point A, and despite Tea Party's difficulties getting things going on their own attack, they were able to complete the map, and the same can't be said for Triumph, who certainly bungled a couple of opportunities, taking a ton of time. There were certainly moments where, especially after that point B, where Decod going for these very high risk, high reward type charges, forcing his team to follow his lead or else, leave him out in the cold alone, and just not coming up with anything and wasting a lot of Triumph's time, which they couldn't afford at that point.
Triumph having a little bit of a hard time on both sides too, having some issues on defense, a little bit more on the offense, which is actually crazy for me to say for Triumph, because when you look at these names, you see offense, you see pushing power, especially with Samito on the Hanzo, which is so good for shield break going the other way, and he's been able to hold his own against these GOATS compositions. But in their last ride here, Tea Party, with their just regular GOATS composition, able to push Triumph back all the way to the map win. So Triumph now only with a 2-1 lead going into Havana, which could determine Triumph's seeding in at the end. Tea Party will be the 6th seed. Triumph could be anywhere from 3rd to 5th.
Exactly. Tea Party right now running with that spoiler mentality. It's even more satisfying sometimes to just spoil somebody else's fun. And I really like Blah Blah Bob on this Zenyatta look. He's been double dipping, playing both the Ana and the Zen. All around, of course, flex support, but I think this Zenyatta is definitely where Tea Party seems to find the most value, not just in Transcendence, but in that ability to discord somebody, shred those shields really quickly, burst somebody down.
Blah Blob is kind of what I imagine how fish talk to each other. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're a whale, then it's more of, the Dory.
Okay, we're gonna stop that right now. Triumph now. Let's talk about going into this last map, because it's
whales aren't fish. Sorry.
So Triumph, thank you for the science lesson, HamTornado. We're all better for it. As Triumph going into Havana, this part has the escort portion, right? It's hybrid, and Havana is escort. That's gonna have more of this. And I actually think once they took point A is when Triumph started struggling the most. Once the payload came out and they had to get to the last point, Triumph's offense just really stalled out. Yes, a lot of it had to do with Ace of Spades did finally turn it on, right? He was aggressing and his team was helping him out, and he was getting those kills. Good shatters coming in from Tea Party as well. But going into Havana, I can't help but worry just a little bit about Triumph based on their performance in Hollywood.
Exactly. It's all going to matter on what they decide to run. Triumph certainly having a good time on non-GOATS type compositions. Icy really excelling at that Roadhog, definitely cooling off on the Sombra. And Tea Party, once they give up their own Sombra look, and especially once they put in Fossman X, who I think is really the linchpin of this team, made such a huge difference.
The whole team, the linchpin.
Yeah, I mean, their performance in the second half compared to their performance in the first half.
What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Yep.
I mean, we haven't had the pleasure of casting a ton of Tea Party games, but if nothing else, it's certainly working right now against what Triumph is running. We could, though, see Triumph return to an Orisa Hog look on Havana,
much better
and
for them.
that is when Tea Party truly and Fossman X will be tested. Are you really the linchpin?
So, I mean, an Icy Sombra was good for a minute and a half there. He had a couple good hacks, a good EMP here or there, but the majority of the Sombra was pretty mute, right? I wouldn't call him the linchpin of that team, right?
No.
It's, and I just think Icy is just so much better on other characters, right? And when you have a Roadhog like Icy could also play D.Va. Icy can play a ton of other things, and I think all of those things are better than his Sombra. So I like this right now. Tea Party going to be running Freedom on the Sombra. Freedom has had a good Sombra in the past. Barb had a good pair in the past as well, but he's going to get hooked out of the sky. This is why you want to see this guy on Roadhog.
Exactly. Triumph can really pedal in the one-shot kill category with both Lynx and Icy. So much interplay between them and Decod's halt, as Tea Party are going to have to give up this closest spawn. Freedom gets found out, but he just flies back to his team.
That's a very nice spy check coming in from Triumph. They're going to be able to own the payload for it now. Tea Party choosing to hold a little bit further back, and the Sombra trying to push Lynx away, try to take away this line of sight. You do have to think about this Sombra, because if you get hacked, you're not going to be able to grapple to safety. You're going to depend on the rest of your team to do it. You took away the translocator, so the Sombra is going to be a little bit more vulnerable than maybe he had expected. Translocator should be back by now, though. Zombies going to take a little bit of damage, and these Widows just looking for those picks.
But the Nano might be what makes the difference for Triumph here. Ooh, lose a member right away, but the res does come through. Awkward can easily put this on Icy and just let him roam free, go in for those deep hooks, as Tea Party want Ace of Spades to get up to that supercharger quickly to push Triumph back.
They're going to go ahead and put the Nano onto the Hanzo. You heard the voice line. The Lynx is going to find the kills instead. 2 headshots for Lynx. This is what we were talking about. Lynx on this Widowmaker, on Ilios, so very good. Volskaya was so clean for Triumph. This is starting to look a little bit more like Volskaya and Ilios than it did on Hollywood, and that's really good news for Triumph.
Exactly, and Freedom gets found out yet again. Samito just trying to set up forward of his team, see if he can find any more staggered picks. Not looking likely though, as Tea Party go for this EMP look. They don't have really many other ultimates to combo with it. Far as close to the Dragon Strike.
EMP is you're trying to scout out where exactly this EMP. You've got to get behind the team first. Now could be a good opportunity, especially with the Dragon Strike coming through. No one's really paying attention, and that's exactly what happens. Triumph takes down 2, or Tea Party takes down 2 against Triumph.
Nice stuff from the Tea Party defense here. This is where a lot of teams get stopped up, is right around this initial set of distillers after you pass this point A choke. And Triumph gonna need, a clean sweep in order to make comfortable distance, and that means that they're gonna have to remove Amadian from this high ground he's currently camping on. We saw the effects of a sniper on the high ground on Volskaya and how deadly that can be, so that needs to be priority number 1 for Triumph as they try and make distance.
Ace of Spades putting him and his team in a precarious situation because he wanted to land that hook onto the Widow, and that's, I don't think, worth it in at the end, as Ace of Spades is going to fall. He's had a very good last couple maps, so I don't want to pound it on him or pile it on him as much as we have, but that's a really good example of the issues that we've seen from Ace of Spades so far. He was rejoining his team. He's so far away. Even though you got 4 legs, you're not going to be moving
any
that
faster. That is the ironic nature of Orisa. And now it's going to Triumph, who have the jump. And it's going to be Icy, who lets loose the iron filings first. And that's all they need.
That's all they need. The hook misses, but they don't really need it. As Glove just ignoring the Hanzo because he's going to fall anyway, right? And Decod getting those 3 kills, even though Decod shows up in the kill feed. That was a very nice team effort, and they do make it through the distillery with 4 minutes and 22 seconds left. We saw in the game with Envy a little earlier today that even with a ton of time on this last point, getting through the fortress, it's one of the hardest points, I think, in Overwatch right now. 4 minutes can turn into 0, and about 4 minutes if you're not careful.
Which can feel like the blink of an eye, indeed. It's a very, very long point, a lot of open space, and the spawns do not favor the attackers at all. But picks always well, as Tea Party likely going to have to use this nano in just a bit. They've lost so many members.
The hook, though, is going to land on the Ace of Spades. They're trying to find even more value from their sniper. Triumph is, and they are going to be able to do that. Samito has been nanoed almost every single time so far. That's how much they trust this guy. He's going to be going against this Roadhog. He's doing a ton of damage, and with the headshot, coming in from Amadian, Awkward's going to go down, but Icy does finish Freedom off in at the end. Amadian, though, continuing his hot streak onto this Widowmaker for the time at being. This person's a little afraid to show herself. You don't really want to peek 37 HP in a dream for Amadian. He does get out alive. He's still waiting for this person. They do finally spot him out. And this is how you challenge that Widow. You can't let them take multiple shots without being challenged, because eventually that headshot's going to come through. But nice hook now from Freedom is going to cause Triumph to reset.
Chop decided he was the one who was going to go and challenge this Widowmaker, hilariously only one of the few heroes on Triumph's side who has any kind of verticality, but they lose Decod, and so that means that for now a respite for Tea Party. That kill also going to help out. Now, Icy, we haven't found as many hooks from him just yet. Oof, but the snipers trading fire right now. We would like to see Icy warm up just a little bit if you're a Triumph fan. The shield break battle is raging on, and right now it's a dead heat.
I like that Decod use that little bit of tech to fortify with the halt. You want to make your movement a little bit more randomized, so if you do decide to use that, when you fortify right after the halt, you're going to move much further and be a lot less predictable. Pro tip for your ladder games. Triumph now going to use that supercharger. They already got 2 picks. Now they've got an opening here at the very end game of Havana. Are they going to be able to capture that 3rd point? They've got over 2 minutes remaining. They've got a massive numbers advantage. Link also has the vision, and so now he knows exactly where everyone is going to be as they do stop the res in at the end. They are going to finish Havana, and finishing Havana has been tough to come by for some of these teams. It's a tall task for Tea Party, especially since Triumph ended with a minute and about 45 seconds left. We'll find out the final time there. 2 minutes and 1 second made it to the 2-minute warning, and that's a ton of time for Havana. That's a lot of time for this map.
It is a lot of times teams barely eke it out in OT. So Tea Party going to have to match Triumph's pace here if they are to keep themselves competitive in today's match. And once Triumph were able to make it into the fortress proper, once they broke through that choke and Sumito was able to set up that crossfire, then it was easy to walk through that point. But up until then, Tea Party putting up a very stalwart defense.
Lynx has had some good Widowmaker play today, and this is kind of what we might expect a little bit more of when we go into the playoffs, is who has a good Widowmaker,
exactly.
Right? And if you have a good one, you're gonna feel really good going into the bracket, because you're just going to be able to change the game a little bit more frequently as Widow in the 2-2 role lock.
Exactly, and the one-shot kill potential can't be denied. I mean, if we think all the way back to Season 1 of Overwatch League, a lot of those matches were just decided upon who had the Widowmaker with the hotter and more consistent hand. So, Tea Party, so far, not showing the Widowmaker, but that could easily change as Triumph are not showing the close spawn. They are going to walk forward, though. This is a gamble that teams have to decide. A lot of times we see this on Rialto these days. Dorado, also another map that favors the very close-up defense. And it's all about just playing with that time. Is it worth feeding that ultimate charge in order to wear down the time bank? And for Triumph, it looks like they're hedging their bets. They're going to hold behind the bus stop just a little bit. Not too close, not too far, like Goldilocks.
Gonna split the difference. It feels just right for Triumph Gaming to hold there. And basically, the characters aren't very fast, so when Tea Party do finally make it onto the payload, they're going to be able to retreat into a very good spot. And actually, this provides Lynx some really good sight lines onto the rest of the team as they have to get onto the payload. He's going to go ahead and change his line of sight for the time being. Sammyto going to find the Lucio after a nice halt into headshot combo.
And something really interesting Tea Party is running far is actually staying on the Baptiste, a DPS hero on a support. We often see this when DPS decide to pick up Ana, but Tea Party going with the 3-2-1 Freedom, the only dedicated damage dealer. So when that amplification matrix comes through, that's certainly going to help Freedom, but not too many more people, as Baptiste doesn't deal a ton of damage.
Freedom goes down, though, so it's the 5v5. The defense still feeling pretty good about this. If red sights are there, he's going to be able to take a little bit of damage from the Lucio, but his team is doing work, and this crossfire now from Triumph is starting to take hold of a Tea Party with 2 minutes and 39 seconds left. Thanks, man. You're showing us why you're on that World Cup team.
Exactly. And pushing with a Baptiste and trying to find value from those immortality shields and amplification matrix, it can be a bit tricky. You do need to have excellent setup. Otherwise, Triumph will simply just back around the corner and wait that amp matrix out, right? So you're going to be working towards this ultimate for a long time and potentially not get a lot of value from it, as Far does let that fly.
Yukaj just going to spend his time right by the payload, using it as cover, not taking a lick of damage. Ace of Spades, though, can't say the same. There's a return kill on to Yukaj. Headshot, though, coming in from Lynx. Freedom so very low, but Blob going to start fragging out. Now it's going to be even. It's a 4v4 with both teams. Icy, though, with the Hog, going to be able to push a lot of Tea Party away from the payload. Far getting his counterpart, Sammyto, who was flying a little too close to the sun, was being hyper-aggressive, and that's worked out for him in the past. But this time around here in Havana, he will fall.
Lynx to not too long for this world. He wants to die as quickly as possible. He's not stalling the cart, hiding in the hallways, and needs to rejoin his team as quickly as possible. Start denying some of those sightlands, or at least compete with both Amadian and Far. Triumph have a Sonic, a supercharger. Third time's the charm. A supercharger and a Valkyrie, so the damage boost will be real.
It's all about the journey. Freedom now going to find that initial pick. Now the res is there, so all kills now from Tea Party will be confirmed. The Dragon Strike going to be going both ways. They're going to go ahead and cross the beams. Far going to survive by the skin of his teeth. Really good pick onto Antal, though. Means that they're going to be missing a support. Amadian, though, trying to bring Tea Party back into this, and that's exactly what he's going to do. This is pretty much Widow v. Widow right now.
Exactly. Freedom, though, definitely heating up for Tea Party as well. Some crucial hooks to bring Decod close enough into that firing range for Tea Party. So things really starting to heat up. Triumph definitely can't just take the rest of Havana lying down. They have to stay on their toes because 3 minutes left to finish out Distillery. It's not all the time in the world, but it's not a guaranteed hold either. especially against Supercharger, which is coming up against Ace of Spades, which is only going to make Freedom's whole hog even more deadly. If he can isolate a member of Triumph, they're as good as gone.
Far has extra damage, unable to make any contact with the members of Triumph. Lynx, though, going to find that first pick as Antal and Ahmadian going to fall. Far will be getting some revenge, but it's still a 5v4 for Triumph.
Nice
Whole hog
hook.
is going to get canceled. Tea Party now still functioning on the payload. They're still making a little bit of progress. They're going to be stalled out here very shortly.
Yep, and Ace of Spades taking a ton of damage, forced behind the corner. And Samito again living on that high ground, putting some pressure on Blah Blah Blah, who finally does fall. Shield breaks as well for Tea Party, and Triumph, off the back of those 2 early picks by Lynx, pulled once again. That was a very risky play. Certainly, you're essentially just assuming, you're hoping that Tea Party are not going to be that spatially aware and find you out. And even though they did, Lynx able to find a 2-for-1 trade before he himself goes down.
Nice pick. Icy going to find that one. Is Triumph going to have that 6v5, which is going to cause Tea Party to do another reset. And so this is the thing about this double sniper versus double sniper. It's a lot of just finding those angles, finding that pick, and once you have that numbers advantage, you kind of even want a 2-man advantage because the opposing snipers can take you down in just a second as well. That's when you'll aggress upon it, the payload. You have to find that pick first. And Samito and Far are going to be doing that for both of their teams. Really good hook again from Icy. It's going to really open things up for Triumph as Tea Party now down to 1 minute and 22 seconds.
Again, a nice pick from Far, but not enough to make up for the numbers disadvantage as Tea Party have yet to make their way through this choke again. Lynx, living in that left-hand corner, has really cut down the amount of avenues Tea Party can take. Icy though brought very low decod as well, so they're going to have to give up a bit of space. Tea Party walking through.
Supercharger, though, is going to give them a little bit of time to get onto the payload setup like they want to. They do finally take it down. Ahmadian, though, does take down the Hanzo in the meantime. So Tea Party have a 6v5, but they're going to have to win a couple fights to make it to Distillery, and they are able to get the res off. And the reses are going to be a little easier in this team comp because there's so much long-distance damage. The Mercies can feel pretty safe. Samito going to get Ahmadian. There, I think, is a res available for them, but it's not going to be enough to overcome the disadvantage that Triumph has already handed them.
Exactly. Tea Party here had a good opener with that whole hog, but Triumph had something better. In this case, Samito's Stormbow. Tea Party now swapping on to some very mobile heroes. Need to get to that cart really quickly. And oh no! No blade for you.
Hello, face. I am Bullet. Nice to meet you, says Lynx. Triumph is going to have a 65 now. The Tracer almost goes down. Lynx, though, does go down himself. So this is a nice opening for Tea Party. They will have 6 members before Triumph has their 6. And Lynx is the one pushing out most of the damage, finding most of those pick kills. So Samito needs to find one in return. And Icy, now is the time to pop off. That's you too. Far, though, gets another kill. This is still a pretty close one in. And this by Icy with that whole hog is going to push the Zenyatta away. And now Triumph seems to be giving them an insurmountable lead. Tea Party will have the payload stop right here in Havana, and Triumph have locked up the 3rd seed in their first season in Overwatch Contenders. What an amazing story for them coming out of trials and then being the 3rd best team in the group. Good stuff from them, and congratulations.
Definitely congratulations all around. A crucial sleep by Awkward right around the very end of that fight. Everybody from the Triumph squad chipping in. I mean, if Diva had lived, again, could have been a different outcome. Tea Party themselves making some good adjustments, definitely starting to heat up on Hollywood, but unfortunately, Triumph, with the help of Icy dousing that fire on Havana, they do take the series. And with it, that 3rd seed.
It was definitely more competitive on the second set of games than versus the first half, so Tea Party should definitely feel good about their adjustments. And so now that Triumph has locked up that 3rd seed, they will be facing Tea Party once again. And the way that Tea Party was playing, they were figuring some things out. So they're going to be able to take this game and immediately study it going